Ready?
Let's do it.
Welcome to Radicards TV. I'm your host, Patrick Greeno. This is Dan Grano of Sports Securities again here.
How's it going?
Seems like a regular. Thank you, Dan, for being such a regular these last
Not a
couple
problem.
weeks. Today we're going to be talking about some. Well, I guess it depends on how you define oldie. I'll say oldie in the last 25 years, and then some more modern things.
I had to go deep into the card closet to find one of these. So.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what you got.
All right, so the first thing I brought in is a 2010 Bowman Platinum Mike Trout rookie. People call them refractors, but I believe that all of them from this year that were of this subset were actually refractors.
All the rookies or all the Trouts?
I think all of the rookies. I could be really wrong. I could be really talking out of my butt on this one. This is the only card, I'll show it again, that I own from that set. And so it does say refractor on the back, but I don't think I've seen any that didn't come with the refractor technology. So, like I said, I could be wrong on that.
How do you like the refractors in that year?
They're okay. They're okay. It's hard signed, so that made it really cool. It's really simple. The picture of Trout, I mean, he's kind of tiny in that picture. So I think they could have gone a little bit bigger on that, but, it's all about the auto on that card as opposed to the actual picture of Trout. The fact that he's on there is kind of cool because I've seen some autos where the player isn't even on the actual card. So
yeah, like those unlicensed ones, you see a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, or some of the in the game stuff.
Yeah.
The second card is even better. It's just one of the most amazing cards. I'm actually being sarcastic here because it was probably one of the worst pulls I ever had. I've saved it for years because I just look at this and just dog it and dog it and dog it. It is awful.
What makes it so awful?
Well, you buy a box of cards with the hopes that you might get something good, right? You pull stuff and you get an auto. You always have that who is it moment, right? And sometimes you're disappointed. Sometimes you like who it is. This was beyond a disappointment. I saw that it was an auto. I was pumped, right? And I turned it around, and it was an autograph of the Rip Master Allen. What a clown! This is just ridiculous. I look at this card and it makes me angry every single time I see it. That this was an auto. Now it wasn't part of the stated pulls, right? But it's just kind of a dirty trick to have this in there. This is when Topps had their great idea of having Topps TV, and the Ripmaster had his show. But it's garbage. It's garbage, I look at that and just think, why did they put money into this? Why did they put packs? Why did they put this into packs?
He was at the National this
year.
It's
pretty bad, yeah, and he still had that crummy horn. The only thing he was missing was the jumpsuit with the empty wax packs taped to it. It's pretty bad. And I don't know if you remember this subset. Do you remember back when it came out? And I think it was 08. 08 finest, right?
So I was finishing grad school at the time, and so I was loosely in the hobby. I was in it, but I was mainly in it just for Thomas stuff. I wasn't looking around or buying wax or anything. And so while I was in it, I totally looked over this. Now, are there variations of this card?
I don't know. There might have been refractors. I really don't know. Don't really care. I do know that there were Rip Girl cards that kind of mimic this. Apparently, he had some very good-looking young ladies that were scantily dressed, and then they would sign them as well.
Sure.
So you could have gotten some Rip Girl cards, which wouldn't have been as bad. But this is the biggest clown of them all. It is just an absolute joke.
And it's 94 Topps right there.
And I just absolutely can't stand it.
2004 Topps.
What, the empty wrappers
Yeah.
on there? Pat, I think you're putting too much thought into that. It's just trash.
And yet you just choose to talk about it today.
I did. You can't forget this. I mean, I don't know if you can see, he signed it the Rip Master, and then down in the bottom here he put wow. And you can see that little horn. And when we were at the National, he was honking that little horn over there at the Topps booth. Remember?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. We did some pack wars there, and we didn't like that much because
No,
there's a lot of screaming and really loud.
I think I would have liked it had the national not been going on in the background.
Right.
You know, because that would have been fun. But because I had so much to do and we had a plan to get through it all, that was just distracting for me.
But that's part of the national.
Yeah, no, I get it. I do. It was just ripping open a pack and then getting a bunch of base cards is like it's fun, but it's like a half an hour I could be spending going through like dollar bins and stuff looking for gems. It was fun. I mean, I had a good time. I wouldn't regret
the
it.
boxes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was cool. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really excellent
example of trash.
No, it's good, and you kept it. So
yeah, I've kept it because it's just purely one of the worst things you can.
It's an on-card auto, though.
That is true.
I mean, he didn't even sign his name, so it's an on-card writing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is Topps finest.
Yeah, so it's
the best part of being the Rip Master, the Rip Girls. That's what it says on the back.
He only got that. Good job, so that he could. I'm kidding. Open packs.
I'm pretty sure he's a pretty high exec over there at Topps.
I'm sure. Well, maybe. I mean, that'd be cool.
He might be watching this, thinking what jerks we are. Then again, he might be regretting that he ever put those cards out.
It's funny. It's just funny, but the stuff you find in
wax.
In wax. And so that concludes your
That's it for
your
today.
side today.
Yep.
Okay. Mine's a little bit different. I got 3 cards here. We're gonna start off with a. Let's start off with a Thomas card. Just, change things up a little bit.
Right.
So this here is a 2003 finest uncirculated gold X-Fractor. The Thomas here. Now I have a raw example, and so when I found this, I was like, oh, this one's still in the actual, authentic
case,
manufacturer release case. So I wanted that, and it wasn't that much money. It was below $10. It's cool. It's numbered to 199. And I really like the design on this year's finest X-Fractors. I like the box matrix technology on these. It's really rad. So
yeah. I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So the term uncirculated, I don't think it really applies to cards, but yet they market it that way.
Well, I guess
it's not like cards go into circulation any, like currency or stamps or anything like that. I guess it's untouched. But uncirculated. I mean
that's a valid point. Now I think that when the term uncirculated, I think, is loosely defined, and here's why I think that. Because these got out into the market somehow, but they weren't pack issued.
Oh no, they were.
Well, this wasn't.
That one wasn't.
Well, the gold X-Fractors, to my knowledge, weren't.
Okay.
Now, the regular X-Fractors, the silver ones, I believe are, and I think that they're even scarcer than the golds.
Because a lot of them were box toppers.
Well, yes, those were packs, but they weren't in like your standard buy a pack of 2004 finest and you get one of these. These came in their own individual box topper packs.
But you bought a box and
technically, yes, they were pack issued, but just they're packs when they're not defined as your standard.
So they just didn't come in the regular foil.
Right, they didn't come in the regular foil, but you could get these if you bought a box. So I like the concept of the uncirculated. This sort of thing is not as prevalent in today's market. This, I think, lasted for a number of years and then it just kind of fell off. I really appreciated that the Topps did this. Now the only drawback that I see to these is that if you scratch up these plastic cases, you're in sort of like a cognitive dissonant, almost buyer's behavior sort of mentality where like, well, do I crack it out and put it in a new case, or do I leave it in this scratched up case?
Or get it slabbed or something.
Or get it slabbed, which I wouldn't, because it's not a card I'd ever consider doing that with, because I don't think it holds the same kind of prestige and value. But with something like this, I try to find them in the original casing, and then I just put them in team bags, and then I put them in my collection.
Right.
After I scan them in. So I actually like these, and I have a Jack McDowell that's like this, but the case is so mangled that I've been tempted just to crack it out because of this. It's like so scuffed you can almost not see the card.
Right.
But I got it for so cheap. Now McDowell's signature is very inexpensive. The market for him is just much more insignificant in comparison to Thomas. For some reason, he was a Cy Young Award winner, I think so. Jack McDowell.
You got me on that.
Don't quote me on that. But he was a great pitcher for a number of years, and I got that card for like $1.20 or something.
Yeah, let me take a look.
Yeah, go ahead, please. So that'll start my side off to this week, and we're gonna move right into we're gonna rewind back to 1990 when Coca-Cola released a set of White Sox cards, and these cards now, they were in very high risk environments, because you gotta think, if there's a set of cards in a box, like a 12-pack of Coke,
Right.
people drink Coke, they toss the box, and if they're not collectors, the set's gonna go with the box.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff got trashed. Now there's been a recent discovery of quite a few sets of these, so the prices have softened quite a bit, which has been nice for those of us who still need a Thomas or Radinsky or a Sosa. I'm probably the only one that does the Radinsky, outside of maybe Radinsky himself. But this one here is the Sammy Sosa. Now this card, at one point, was a high dollar, high value around the time when he and McGuire were at it in the
Right.
98 series. Now it's cheaper. I got this one at the National. I think he was $1. And so I was happy to have the Sammy Sosa. I've always wanted this card. I'd like to get this card in sort of a higher grade if possible sometime down the line. I just think it's a classic example of Mr. Sosa.
So were these packed into the actual box, or like was it taped to the side or glued to the side? And
Okay, so
cellophane, or was it just loosely thrown in and rolling around with the Cokes?
I can't say with any degree of certainty how involved the pack was with, like, inside the packaging, but I would feel maybe somewhat comfortable in assuming that it was the set was sealed and it was maybe adhered in some way to the side of the box.
So you got the whole set in the box? It wasn't
Yeah.
just like you got one card?
I believe it was the whole set released in the box. But again, don't quote me because I don't really know factually how that partnership transpired.
So do you know who all's in the set?
So you've got Thomas, Sosa, Ventura, Radinsky. Those are the ones off the top of my head. I can't remember who else was in the 1990 White Sox team. I'm going to say like Karkovice might be in there.
Take a look.
Go ahead. They're slightly larger than normal size cards. So, to really take advantage of preserving these cards, you put them in maybe vintage card sleeves, like the bigger ones for like the 52, 50, I guess what, 52, 53 tops, 54, 55 tops too, I think, and then 56 tops. Yeah, I think 57 was the first year where they were like standard 2.5 by 3.5. So these are somewhat larger than your standard 2.5 by 3.5, so you just put them in vintage card sleeves and then slide them into a top loader.
The peak of the popularity, what did that one book for? Do you remember?
Gosh, I don't remember. I think in 98, when these were being chased, I mean, like, pretty strong 2 figures, I would assume.
Wow.
Maybe higher. I don't know. I just know that these were sought after. When I got my first Thomas from this set, it was a card show in Santa Fe in summer 2003, and I remember getting him for $50 as a raw example. Now, because so many of them have surfaced, raw examples can be had for much less than that, and I've been able to acquire high-grade examples of that card since then as well. But it's just great classic shots of some of the guys, the team of the White Sox from the 1990 roster. I think it's just a cool card. Next and last card in my run today is now, Dan, you had mentioned specifically that there's a high probability that this could.
No.
Maybe?
there's a possibility that it could be a counterfeit.
So they made a lot of counterfeits.
There were some counterfeits. I think at the height of that card, because he was so popular.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Because I think these were only given out in the Florida area.
Really? They're regional?
Yeah, I think they were regional.
So this is the 1988 Burger King Gators Emmitt Smith card. Always been a fan of Mr. Emmitt Smith. He's a great running back. Or he was. Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And I got him at the National too. I don't remember what I paid, but he was in a grip of other cards. And I can't remember if I showcased this in a previous video.
You may have, but it's cool to talk about it again.
Yeah.
It might have been on one of the national showcases.
Yes.
As opposed to a regular episode of Radicards TV.
Yeah. So I got this guy. He's really cool. Now this card reminds me of the 1987 Auburn Tigers Frank Thomas card, which would be really considered Frank Thomas's first card.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of reminds me of that. It's got the white and like the sort of very simple old-fashioned type and old stock. I think those are really cool. So that's what I showcased today. Dan, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Great. Thank you for having us. Thank you for watching another episode of Radicards TV. And until next time, enjoy collecting.
Take care.